Hi guys, this is June coming to you from the Delish Test Kitchen, and today we're going to be making better than takeout beef and broccoli. We're going to show you step by step how to make broccoli stir fry, the classic Chinese American takeout dish that everybody loves. So shiny, so luscious, and you know it's going to be delicious. First things first, any cut of steak will do, but go for the cheaper stuff because you're going to be slicing it up and marinating it, so it doesn't have to be the fancy stuff. I like sirloin for this one. You can use flank or skirt steak, all good. Step one, marinade. The marinade is where the magic happens. Super simple. We got a small, medium-ish bowl. We got some low-sodium soy sauce. So soy sauce goes in, and then we're going to zest half a lime and juice half a lime. The lime juice is really excellent. It tenderizes the meat, but also provides this nice perky flavor. And the lime zest also freshens up the flavors a little bit too. I really like using the zest of citrus, as you may have noticed. We're gonna cut this guy open, juice him. You can slice the other half up into wedges and serve it with your dish. Optional, of course. I'm gonna eyeball about 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. Gives it a nice little fragrance. And then we're gonna go in with 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and it goes, and ginger. Grate the ginger so that all of the spicy goodness is well exposed in the marinade. I use about a 2-inch solid nub of ginger. I don't peel it because the skin kind of just peels away and doesn't really get grated. It should be about a tablespoon of ginger total. Looks about right. A lot of this marinade you can eyeball. You don't have to be super precise about it because it's just a lot of flavors coming together to kind of cure the meat. Don't kill yourself over it. I'm gonna chop off the ends of the garlic to release the skin, and then I'm going to crunch it in half and twist it so that the skin releases from the clove. If you crush the garlic with your knife completely, it becomes very hard to hold the garlic, and then it falls apart, and then you grate your fingers, and then you don't want to eat anymore, so let's not do that. I'm gonna do that with the second clove. Cut, twist, crack, peel. Perfect. I'm gonna grate. Grated garlic is so amazing because it's just like a little mash of pure, spicy, garlicky goodness. We want the solution to basically just be a lot of macerated fine bits of spice in there. Then I have scallion chopped going in for freshness, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. We're gonna mix it very quickly until it all comes together and the oil's kind of incorporated. It doesn't have to be a full emulsification. And then we're going to save 1/3 cup of marinade for the cooking process. Keep this bowl to marinate our meat in. Let's talk meat, shall we? Sirloin steak. This has been frozen. I think I kept it in the freezer for like over an hour now, but you only need about half an hour for it to firm up and get really, really solid so that you can get really nice, clean, thin slices with it. First of all, when cutting steak, you always want to find the grain. You see that it's running this way and you want to cut perpendicular to it. So if it's going this way, we're going to cut this way. That means that you're shortening the grain and you're not yielding very rubbery pieces of meat. You want the pieces to be super, super tender, so you want the protein fibers to be super, super short. The colder your meat is, the easier it is to get very thin slices. If you ever come across sinewy pieces of meat like this, we don't want that there. They become really tough and hard to chew, so I usually just trim them away. This is what we're looking for. The thinner you get it, the faster it marinates, the more flavor it soaks up, the faster it cooks in the pan. I like to get it super thin so it cooks super fast. It's just gonna be super delicious. After we have this sliced, we're just gonna toss it into our marinade. In we go. Nice little even tossy toss until everything's coated in our sweet, salty, tart, scalliony, gingery, garlicky mixture. And we're gonna pop it into the fridge and just let it sit in there for at least 30 minutes. You can go up to 2 hours if you want. Half an hour later, our beef is marinated. It's gotten a little bit juicier. We're just going to drain the beef from the marinade. I'm lining a shallow bowl with a paper towel so that we can pat it dry. Just make sure that you're really, really, really getting all of the extra marinade. I'm gonna flip it over. The drier your meat is, the crispier the cornstarch coating will be once it hits the pan. We're just gonna dust our cornstarch right on top, and we're gonna toss it until the meat is fully and evenly coated in it. To get the crispiest sear, I really like using a heavy bottom pan. My pan of choice is always cast iron. We got a big cast iron skillet here. I'm gonna turn on my skillet to medium high. And then we're gonna pour in about 2 tablespoons of peanut oil, and we're just gonna wait until the oil gets nice and shimmery. You'll start seeing tiny little ripples across the surface of the oil, and once that starts to happen, I'm just gonna tilt it so that the oil travels all around the bottom of the skillet so that your entire skillet is coated in oil. This prevents the meat from sticking to places, so you really wanna make sure that your oil is evenly covering the surface of the pan. Oil is nice and hot and shimmery. I'm gonna use my tongs, and we're just gonna add the meat in a single layer so that they all cook evenly. To get a crispy coating, you never, ever, ever wanna crowd meat in a pan. Always give them breathing space. Just lay them out as flat as you can get them. They sear for about 2 minutes per side until they're nicely, deeply golden, and then we're gonna flip and sear the other side. The oil might splatter, so just be careful. Maybe wear long sleeves, not like me. So it looks like I'm gonna do this in 2 batches. This looks like a good amount of space to have in the pan. Your meat's at least 1 centimeter apart. When you start seeing the cornstarch on the pan get golden, that means that your breading is probably golden too. We're just gonna give them a flip, some nice golden bits, and continue with 2 more minutes on the other side. Ooh, that one's good. Look at this one. Once your meat gets nice golden and kind of crusty on both sides like this, we're just gonna pull them. These look so good right now. So that's all out. We're gonna add the next batch in. If your pan looks dry at all, you wanna add a little more oil to it. You don't want the cornstarch to stick too badly to the pan. Single layer. Very quickly sear that very thinly sliced meat until it's nicely golden on the outside. This batch is done. We're gonna scoop them all out of the pan. Oh man, it already smells so good in here. Part 2, we're getting into the aromatics. Take the skillet back to medium heat, pour in 1 more tablespoon of peanut oil. Great. And then we're gonna hit the pan with chili pepper. I like 1 chili. If you like spice, go up to 2 chilies, 3 chilies. Spice yourself out. Sesame seeds, all in, all in, all in. Minced garlic, scallions. I like to add a tiny pinch of salt. The salt helps break down the spices and release even more of their flavor. And we're gonna scrape up all of the really nicely, deeply golden burnt bits from the meat, because that's where a lot of the flavor is. Woo! That chili is intense. And we're gonna let all of these toast for about 2 minutes until the sesame seeds turn golden and you start choking on the fumes of your delicious chili. And the scallion looks nice, tender green. And all of the fond from the bottom of the pot is lifted. All right, so these are looking nice and toasty. You can see that the garlic is kind of starting to brown. So we're gonna halt that process and dump in all of our brock. The broccoli goes into the pan for about 2 minutes. Gets nice and toasty on one side. We're gonna flip it, cook it for another 2 minutes. It gets nice and toasty on the other side. And I'm just gonna shift the pan a little bit so that they all fall into a single layer and leave it. See you in 2 minutes. I smell some charring going on. I'm just getting some nice surface searing and browning. It's starting to look very verdant. Nice little char action. I'm just gonna flip them, and we're just gonna let it keep going on the other side for about 2 minutes until all of the broccoli is that kind of freshy, bright, green, poppy color. It's gonna taste really good, I promise. Broccoli is looking super vibrant. The bottom of the skillet is looking really dry. Ooh, that spice, man. You suffer for the good stuff. You know what I mean? It's time to hit it with the chicken broth. Go slow and be prepared for steam. So it's gonna nicely simmer away for maybe 2 minutes. The liquid goes away way faster than you think it does. Yeah, you can get a free facial if you like. Nice. We're gonna let the broccoli cook at this heat level until you can pierce it with your tongs. See you in 3 to 4 minutes. The broccoli is tender. The broth is almost non-existent. It's time to move on. We're about to add our remaining marinade that we reserved from the very beginning, and our hoisin goes in as well. Sweet, fermented bean paste. Nice balance to the salty, spicy elements of this dish. And as soon as this comes up to a simmer, which should take maybe 10 to 20 seconds, we're gonna add back in our beef. Our beef is coated in cornstarch. which means that as soon as it hits the pan, whatever cornstarch didn't form that crust on the meat yet will slowly disintegrate back into the sauce, and it will help it thicken. We're gonna toss it until everything is evenly married in the pan, and you're just gonna watch this very carefully now, because the sauce is gonna turn thick very quickly. We're letting all the flavors marry together, and the broccoli is gonna get really nice and tender now with all of the flavors of this marinade, and the beef is gonna get its last leg of cooking. This is when you see the magic happening. It's already starting to thicken up. Super silky, so silky. In fact, if I tilt the pan, you can just take a look at how silky that sauce is getting. So shiny, so luscious. And you know it's gonna be delicious. Once I see that the sauce is gelling up like this, that's it. Turn off the heat and let's eat. You're done. When I grew up, when I ate out at Chinese restaurants, they used to give us these like perfectly round plops of rice. And I think this is how they do it. Just press your rice very gently into a bowl that's very round on top and bottom. Flip it, lift it. Then, while it's still nice and hot, we're gonna serve some of this right here. The rule of the kitchen is if it falls, it's yours. That one's mine, and it's delicious and freaking hot. So once we have that plated, I'm just gonna garnish it with a little more sliced green onions and sesame seeds. And there you have it. Congratulations, you did it. It's beef and broccoli time. Perfect for dinner. I hope you enjoy it.